Today we're going to be working on standing balance poses, and we'll do a little bit of work on the mat at the end, but mostly I'd like to work with warrior poses and do some alternatives with some warrior poses, and Hillary will throw in some leg lifts with those as well. So today we'll be working on balance, strength, and I think adding those two together, your heart rate's going to get up a little bit too. So we'll start at the beginning at the top of our mat, both of our feet facing the short end of the mat. We'll take a few moments here to become centered, present for our practice. It's always a good idea to keep our eyes closed during our centering. With your eyes closed, pay special attention to what your body's feeling today, what you're bringing to the mat. I always feel a little bit of anxiety coming into this, hoping that I have a good class. Maybe a little bit of soreness or achiness, stress from what I've got to get done today. This is a good time for the next hour to let all of that go and to really touch base with your body and what's speaking to you. Let's work on lengthening the spine. From the base of the spine, extend the shoulders up, trying to increase your height by an inch, creating space between each vertebrae, extending out through the head and the crown of the head. And let's get our shoulders into a neutral position. So we'll imagine that we have hooks on the back of our shoulder, and we're going to take those hooks and hang them on a coat rack. And that helps us to open up our chest. So lifting those shoulders up, hooking it onto a coat rack behind us, and then letting our arms just drop. And you'll feel an opening in your chest, and maybe some tightness between your shoulder blades. Just keep some awareness in there, a little bit of tension to keep your chest open. Feel the notches on the front and the back of your hip and see if you can get those parallel. I always have to tilt my pelvis forward to get my hips level to the ground, which means I'm squeezing my glutes in a little bit and pushing my pelvis forward. So we want to keep our hips parallel to the floor, finding a nice neutral posture here. And continuing with our centering, we'll start with the base of the spine. And we'll begin an inhale that comes clear from the base of the spine, up through the chest, out the crown of the head, and exhale, imagining that breath coming from above the head, through the crown of the head, and down to the base of the spine. So just imagine that breath coming up all the way and exhaling, bringing it down. Inhaling and exhaling through the nose, working toward getting a nice, long, deep breath. And on your next inhale, imagine if you're pulling energy up from the earth, bringing that energy up into your body, all the way up the spine and back down the spine. Really start working on mentally creating an energy flow in the body. We'll take a couple more deep breaths here. And the next deep inhale will include the arms and bring them all the way up, inhaling as we reach up, completely filling the lungs, expanding the chest, exhaling as we bring them back down. Inhaling and exhaling through the nose. Inhale with the arms, bringing them all the way up again, starting to warm up into shoulder joints, bring some movement into the legs. Starting to wake the body up, Inhaling and exhaling. And if you feel secure in your balance, this is a good time to keep your eyes closed. Focus on what your body is bringing. And we'll take one more inhale all the way up, reaching up, high as you can go. Lace the fingers together, palm toward the ceiling. And let's push up to the ceiling. Tuck your navel into the spine. Create space between each rib, pressing the palms up, breathing deeply. And then we'll exhale to a forward fold. So exhale slowly with a flat spine, keeping the legs as straight as you can. Coming into a forward fold, bringing that stretch to the back of our legs. Taking some deep breaths to help soften the body into the pose. And pay special attention to your sitting bones, the two sitting bones in each of your butt cheeks. Push those up to the ceiling. Straighten the legs. Taking deep breaths. And now let's come down to a squat. Putting some stretch into our body again. And then inhale, our arms come all the way up to standing. And we'll repeat that one more time. So forward fold, flat spine, we're hinging from the hips. Coming into that forward fold. Your forward fold may look different. Your knees might be slightly bent. You might be reaching out farther in front of you, or your hands may be farther up on your legs. Find the form of the forward fold that works for you. Now really work on pushing those sitting bones up. Come down to a squat. Inhale to stand. We'll do it one more time, reaching up. Hinge from the hips with a flat spine, forward fold. This time we'll come up to a half lift, so press your palms into your shins. Tuck your elbows tight to the sides of your body. Push into the shins while you're pulling your head toward the wall in front of you, stretching out into the neck, pulling the ears away from the shoulder. And coming back down to a forward fold. You'll find yourself a little bit farther into this forward fold. And return to squat. Inhale to stand. And then we'll add on to our movement by bringing chair into it. So our palms are facing each other about a foot apart, keeping the knees behind the toes, pushing our glutes to the back wall, reaching forward, aiming to get this portion of our leg as low as we can to the ground while pushing the glutes out. And we'll inhale to stand. Exhale to chair. Holding it down here, keeping those knees behind the toes. And we'll inhale to stand. Exhale, coming back to chair. Really exaggerating the breath as we're starting to warm the body up. Inhale to stand. Exhale to chair. And this time we're going to add a little bounce into our chair, really warming up the legs, starting to build heat in the body. Lifting and lowering, lifting and lowering, lifting and lowering, coordinating with the breath. We'll do one more and then inhale to stand. And a forward fold. Lift those sitting bones up. Half lift. A forward fold. And then we'll lift to a chair pose. So bending the knees, lifting the arms, coming back to that chair pose. Then we're going to bounce here. Up and down. Should feel some nice heat building in your body. Some burning in those legs. One more and inhale to stand. Forward fold. Inhale to a half lift. Really push into those shins, lift the sitting bones up, straighten the legs. Release to a forward fold. And last time we'll come up to chair. Inhale as we come up to chair. This time let's get some real depth in this lunge here. Up and down. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale, 2 more. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, all the way to standing. And we'll take our right leg and step to the back of the mat. And we'll find warrior one. Both of our feet are facing the wall in front of us on railroad tracks. Finding a tall spine. Our chest is open. Slight tension between our shoulder blades. Inhale to lift the arms. I'm going to hold this balance here for a moment and check into our body parts. Our arms are strong. Palms are facing each other. Arms are straight. We're pushing them up, pushing them forward, opening up space between the shoulder blades. Our face is forward. Left knee behind the left toes. Right leg stepped back, really pushing that right heel to the mat. Holding strength here. Nice breaths. Now let's drop our right knee to the mat, straight down. Lower and lift. Exhale to lower. Inhale to lift. Exhale to lower. Inhale to lift. Last one, exhale to lower. Inhale to lift. And let's step forward. Take a breath. And we'll take the left leg back. Inhale, left leg comes to the back of the mat. Nice tall spine, pushing that left heel to the back of the mat. Both feet facing the wall in front of us. Inhale, lifting the arms. Finding real strength here. Keeping our right knee behind the right toes. Squeezing into the glutes. Tucking our navel into the spine. Pushing our arms straight forward, lifting them up. Our chest is open, our face is forward. And our breath is deep. See if you can put that breath clear down into your belly. And then let's lower our left knee straight down. Lower, inhale to lift. Exhale to lower, inhale to lift. Exhale to lower, inhale to lift, and we'll do one more. Exhale to lower, inhale to lift, step forward, and shake it up. Okay, we'll come back into warrior one again, and we'll add some alternatives to it. So let's step back with our right leg, find our warrior one. Both of our feet are facing the wall in front of us. Our pelvis is pushed forward, and if you're noticing tension in your low back, you can bring your torso a little bit to the long side of the mat. So listen to your body. Finding that warrior one. Nice and strong here. Really reaching it up, tucking that navel in close. And then bring our hands to heart center. Lowering our torso over our left knee. Pausing in this pose for a moment. Trying to straighten that right leg behind us. And let's take our left elbow to the inside of the left knee, opening our chest to the long side of the mat. And you can lock that elbow on the inside of the knee to create a little bit of resistance. And then when you're ready, lower your hand to the mat and lift your right arm up. And you could straighten out that leg a little bit. If you have blocks, you can rest your hand on the block. I'll show you how to use the block with the next one that we do here. Really open that chest to the long side of the mat, finding balance. And return your hands to heart center. Putting them over your knee. Lifting your torso up. And now let's drop that right knee 4 times again. Lower and lift. Lower and lift. Lower and lift. And one more, lower and lift. Step forward, shake it out. And I'll bring this block here to show you how to use that block if it's helpful for you. Okay, both feet facing the front of the mat. We'll work on the left side and warrior one. Step this left leg back. Find a nice strong warrior pose so the chest is tall and open. Stretching the left heel back to the mat. Reaching up, reaching forward. Tuck that navel into the spine, really engaging the core. Finding your breath. Inhaling and exhaling. See if you can lower yourself a little bit farther into the pose. And then let's bring our hands to heart center. Hinge from the hips, coming over the front leg. We'll pause here in this pose for a moment, bringing that breath to the bottom of the lungs, so expanding the belly. And now let's rotate our torso to the long side of the left side of the mat, locking our right elbow to the inside of our right leg. And if you have your block here, you can keep it tall, lower, lower. You can use it to reach down and then bring that left arm up. If you'd like to continue, you can straighten the right leg and really work on opening the chest to the long side of the mat. Your breath is coming in nice and long and releasing nice and long and deep. Okay, release it and bring hands back to heart center. You can lift up and then we'll drop our left knee to the mat 4 times. Exhale, lower, inhale, lift. Exhale, lower, inhale, lift. Exhale, lower, inhale, lift. One more, exhale, lower, inhale, lift. Stepping forward, releasing it, shaking it out. And we'll add another variation to our warrior one. This time, we're going to step back with our right leg. And we'll come forward with our left arm to the mat and open up to the long side of the mat. And I'll show you, we'll do this a couple of times so that you can watch the first time if you'd like to, or you can join along. So I'm going to step back into my warrior one. And now I'll hinge forward, reaching my left arm to the floor. And I can put my right hand on my hip here and lift my right leg. And if you'd like to extend, lift your right arm. So we're balancing here on our left hand and our left foot. And if you're comfortable, you can lower your palm to the floor, trying to create a straight line from our right fingertips to our right toes. Keeping that breath. Then let's release again, hands on the left knee. Dropping our right leg to the back. Finding warrior one again. Tuck that navel in. And we'll step forward to release it. Shake it out. Okay, same thing on the left side. Let's drop our left leg to the back of the mat. Find a nice strong warrior one. Tuck that navel in, lift the spine, nice and tall. And then I'm going to lean forward and drop my right hand to the floor and lift my left leg. So my right hand and my right foot are to the mat. My left leg is lifted. And if you're interested, include the left arm, trying to find balance between the left fingertips, the left toes, a nice straight line. And don't forget that breath. Keeping it nice and deep, lengthening it. Take one more deep breath here. Return hands to heart, or hands to our knee. Back to warrior one. And we'll step forward. Okay, I hope you're starting to feel a little bit of strengthening and some real intense balance work here. This time we're going to go from warrior one and transition to warrior three. So warrior three is similar to warrior one, but both of our arms and our legs are straight out. So we'll start with our warrior one. Right leg steps back. Let's work on this warrior one for just a second here. Drop that right heel to the mat. Both feet are facing the front of the mat. My spine is nice and tall. My shoulders are open. Inhaling to lift the arms nice and strong. Find some real strength here in our arms. And you can lower that front leg a little bit if you'd like to. And then on the next exhale, we'll bring our elbows in and our knee in and transition to warrior three. So step forward, bring the knee and the arms in. Now we'll hinge from the hips, bring it forward. We're balancing on this left leg. A lot of real good balance work here. And then extend our arms forward. You might want to keep your hands at your hips, maybe your hands out to the side. Finding a point of concentration on the mat. And release. Okay, I should have offered a little assistance with the wall on that one. It's a lot to balance on that one. So if you need to, you can have a chair next to you, or you can have the wall next to you. And sometimes just having that wall close gives you mentally a little better state of balance. So let's come back into our warrior one. We'll drop our left foot to the back of the mat this time. And I've just turned around, so you can stay where you're at, but I just want to show you how to use the wall on this. Inhale, bringing my arms into it. Nice deep breaths here, strong arms, tall spine, pushing those hips forward. On the next exhale, bring the knee and the arms in. The next breath, we're going to inhale and push our arms forward and our legs forward. And if you need to, you can use the wall or a chair to give you a better sense of balance here. One more breath and release. Back to standing. Okay, we'll shake it out and we'll do a few variations with warrior two. Grab a train if you'd like to. Hopefully you're following along and this isn't getting too complicated. Okay, warrior two in front of us. Our right foot comes back at a 45-degree angle. We can lean a little bit farther into it. And then bring our arms straight out, parallel to the floor, rotating our face to gaze over our fingertips out in front of us. So we'll squeeze those glutes in, tuck our navel close to the spine, really push those arms out as wide as you can get them. Trying to reach the wall in front of you and the wall behind you. And then on the next inhale, let's rotate this right arm back down the right leg, lifting the left arm up, gazing over these fingertips. Check to see if your navel's tucked to your spine. And now we'll windmill our arms, coming forward, straightening the legs, both legs, and bringing our left arm to the inside of our left foot, our left leg. And you can also have a block here if that will help you. And then work to open your chest to the long side of the mat. Pay attention to your breath. See if it's long or if it's short and shallow. Longer breaths bring more oxygen in, help your muscles create more strength, stability. Okay, we'll windmill our arms back, bending our front leg. Returning to our warrior 3 or warrior 2. Finding strength here. And then we're rotating to the back of the mat. So rotate the left foot, rotate the right foot. Exactly the same thing on the opposite side. Finding some strength here. Our left leg is straight. Our right leg is bent. We're keeping the right knee behind the right toes, finding our arms reaching to the walls to the side of us, parallel to the floor, and we'll gaze over our right fingertips. Just feel the strength of this pose. I think it's called warrior for a reason. It makes you feel strong. Okay, rotating, lifting the right arm up, lowering this left arm to the back leg, reaching up to the sky, gazing over our right fingertips. Tucking the navel in, seeing if we can find complete stillness here, complete balance. And windmilling our arms forward, straightening both legs, bringing the right arm in front or to the inside of the right leg, reaching it down, and then trying to get our chest open to the long side of the mat. And if you'd like to, gaze up over our left fingertips this time. We're really doing a lot of intense balance work here. What this does is it creates new neural pathways. So we're keeping our brain learning and growing and keeping it from aging. Okay, let's come back up onto the knee, rotate back, finding our warrior 2. And then we'll rotate to the long side of the mat here. And both feet are coming out at about a 45, and we'll do some wide leg work here, stretching into our hamstrings, into the backs of our legs, always wanting to keep our spine lengthened and tall, hinging from the hips. And you can feel if you're hinging from the hips because you can place your thumbs in there and you'll pinch your thumbs when you try and keep your spine flat as you come into a forward fold. You can bring your arms to the floor. And again, your knees might be slightly bent, working towards keeping them straight. Your arms may be out in front of you a little bit farther. And you can adjust yourself and come into this a little bit wider if you'd like to, finding where your body's work is. And then let's come into the forward fold a little bit farther. I like to use each exhale to soften my body, to help it become a little more present. Maybe if you're interested, bring your chin into your chest. Feel the difference in that stretch when your chin is tucked. Release it. Now let's bring ourselves over to our right side and we'll open into this left hip. So I'm going to hook my right elbow to the inside of my right knee so that I can use some resistance there to lower my pelvic area closer to the mat. Doing some nice breath work here. And release. And bring ourselves to the left side. Release. Actually release now. Right side again. My mind started wandering for a minute. The left side. And then back to a forward fold with wide legs. And rotate it to the short side of the mat. So we're coming down into a nice lunge here. Let's drop our right leg to the floor. And press our pelvis closer to the mat. Lifting up onto the knee. Opening the chest, lifting the spine nice and tall, bringing that breath in. And if you're interested, reach the right arm around to find that right foot. And with a tall spine, pull the right foot in, stretching into the front of the thigh. Those quads get really tight. Okay, let's release it. Both hands back to the mat. And then we'll come to a plank. Opening this plank. Tuck the navel in. And bring the right foot between the feet, or between the hands. And we'll find our lunge on the left side. Really pressing our hips closer to the mat. Dropping the left knee to the mat. And coming up a little bit higher here. You're welcome to stay here, lengthening the spine, getting it nice and tall, breathing some breath deep into the lungs. If you're ready, reach behind, grabbing that left foot, bringing left heel closer to the body, opening into this left quad. And this is a nice balance pose here. Pull that heel in a little bit closer. Then we can release it. Drop the right leg to the back of the mat, and we'll come to down dog. Both heels press to the mat, bringing our chest in between our arms, straightening the arms. If you'd like to, you can pedal your feet back and forth. And we'll stay here. And if your wrists have difficulty in this pose, bring them up to the fist or come down to your forearms, and you can work from there. Okay, we'll do some leg lifts here from down dog. So inhale, reaching our right foot straight up. Trying to straighten the leg. You'll notice that you'll want to open up to the side, really work on keeping the hips parallel with your pelvis facing the floor, pressing that right leg up as high as you can get it. Releasing. And on the next inhale, we'll lift our left leg up. Inhale, lift. Pushing that left leg straight up. Be careful not to open the hips up to the left side of the mat. Keep that left hip low, parallel to the right hip. Really pressing this left leg up. And release. And we'll come down into a plank. Lowering the hips. And we'll do some leg lifts from a plank pose, squeezing the navel into the spine. Inhale, lifting the right leg. And if this plank is difficult for you, you can lower the left knee to the mat, lift the right leg to feel the benefit for your body. And release. Coming back to plank or modified plank. And we'll lift the left leg. Inhale, lift. One more breath. And release it. Drop the knees. And come into a table pose. Our wrists are stacked below our elbows, below our shoulders. And we'll lift the space between our shoulder blades and then push our chest between our arms on an inhale. Lift the space between the shoulder blades as we exhale. Inhale, pressing the chest between the arms. Exhale to close in. Inhale to lift. Okay, let's bring our forearms down to the mat. And we'll work a little bit on plank with our forearms. Lowering the legs to the back of the mat. We're finding a plank pose that's lower. So you can really lower these hips, and this might be your edge. You might also lower your knees. You want to keep those elbows tucked in. So find a plank that works. And if you're on your knees, you can bring your leg out and back, out and back. If you're lifted up, bring your leg out and back, out and back. And we'll do one more. Right leg, left leg, back to our knees, back to a table pose, lifting and lowering. And we'll do one more. And then I would like to do a plank flow, and I'll show that to you first. And if you're familiar with the plank flow, you can do it with me, but we'll start in up dog. Lifting those hips high, and then we lower to a plank. Drop our knees to the mat. And then we're going to drop our chest and our chin right between our hands, keeping our elbows behind us. And you can pause here to see what that looks like. I'm really hiking my hips up. And then I'll slide my body up, lifting my chest. So engaging my arms, sliding my body up, opening the chest, lifting the arms. And then we come back to down dog for a nice rest before we prepare to come back down. Dropping our chest and our chin. Sliding up, lifting the chest, strengthening those arms, keeping the elbows tucked. Doing this nice and slowly. Coming into down dog to really rest. Take a breath, coming back to our plank, dropping our knees, dropping our chest and our chin between our hands. Keep those elbows tucked tight to the body. And we'll lift up, straightening the arms, lifting the hips, and we'll do one more. And if you're feeling extremely fatigued, there's a reason. This has been a pretty intense class today. Okay, lowering your hips, dropping your knees, chest and chin. Lifting the chest, straightening the arms, lifting up high, rotating through, lift the hips to down dog. And then come back to our table pose, dropping the knees, keeping the arms directly under the shoulders. Exhaling to tuck our chin and lift our shoulder blades. Inhaling, pressing our chest through our arms. Exhaling, inhaling, and then this should feel really good. Reach your arms out forward, stretching them out, lowering the hips, giving your arms a nice break here. Okay, we'll continue with this and press our hips down in the space between our heels. Slide our hands back and bring our palms to the side of our hips, facing the ceiling, and press your forehead to the mat. This should help you center and ground yourself and give your body a much needed rest at this point. Nice, long, deep breaths here. See if you can get the entire weight of your body supported by the mat. Maybe you can feel energy in your body. Sometimes it feels tingly. Sometimes it feels like it's rushing through your body. Sometimes it feels like it's expanding every cell in your body. I think the energy in my body right now just feels fatigue. Okay, bring yourself back up out of the pose. Inhale, and let's try a little squat real quickly. So come back, lowering your chest into that space between your knees. And if you'd like to try a crow pose from here, you're welcome to do that. I'm going to stay in a squat here. And I'm reaching the opposite elbow with the opposite hand. So my right hand meets my left elbow, left hand meets the right elbow, lowering my chest to the space between my knees. And now I'm dropping my chin to my chest, feeling how that changes the stretch. Really press that chin in. Deep breaths here. And let's release into a sitting pose. And this sitting pose is pretty basic. It's a staff pose. Working to get both of those sitting bones squarely rooted into the mat so you can the flesh out from side to side so you can settle in a little bit. And we'll hold this pose for 3 minutes. A lot of work goes on in 3 minutes in a very, very basic pose. Okay, we'll start. And I'll go through the different aspects of our body that need to tune in to make this pose work. Our legs are straight. The backs of our knees are pressing into the mat. Our heels are flexed. Toes are facing the ceiling. Both of our sitting bones are squared to the mat. Our navel is tucked in toward the spine, as tight as you can get it. And then imagine your pelvic floor like an elevator, and we want to take it from the basement up to the top floor. So we're really going to lift that pelvic floor while we're tucking our navel into the spine. Our spine is tall. See if you can increase the height of your spine by 1 inch. Our chest is open, pressed forward. Slight tension between our shoulder blades. We're pulling distance between our ears and our shoulders, lifting up through the neck. And then taking our palms, resting them lightly to the sides of our hips. And then let's go back from the head to the toe on all the parts that we need to coordinate to work this pose. See if you can find the skin on your face nice and soft, relaxed, resting. Ears tall, pulled out from your shoulders. Chest open. Tension pressed between your shoulder blades. Spine tall. Navel tucked in to your spine. Pelvic floor lifted. Legs straight. Back of the knee pressed into the mat. Pulling your kneecaps toward the thighs. Really engaging the legs from the hips to the heels. Flexing the heels. And we're getting close. We've got 30 more seconds left in this pose. Mentally go through from your toes to your head, engaging all of those parts of the body. I'm feeling my body shaking. Trying to find softness in my breath. Nice work. Okay, release it. And you can come forward a little bit. Stretch yourself out. Bring your feet in. Heels together. Pulling your heels close to your body. And we'll work on butterfly pose and starfish for a minute here. Our spine is tall, sitting bones rooted to the mat, pressing down onto the knees, keeping that spine straight. Bring the heels in a little closer to your body if they're releasing a little. Then we can reach onto our toes and lower our forearms to the mat, creating a starfish. So we've got 5 points of the starfish: our head, both arms, both knees. This is a great time to tuck your chin closer to your chest and feel that stretch all the way into the hips. Next inhale, we'll release out of it, supporting your spine as you're lifting up. And we'll work a little on the core for a moment. So we want to find a tripod that includes the base of our spine and both of our sitting bones. So you might again want to move some of that flesh out from side to side. And we're going to make our spine nice and tall. And then we'll lean back so that we can create that tripod of support between our sitting bones and our tailbone. And then we can just hold this pose for a moment, straighten the legs. You can flex the heels and lower your back a little bit closer to the mat. And you can add the arms, bringing them straight out. So again, our spine is nice and flat. It's extended. Our navel is tucked close to the spine. Kneecaps pulled into the thighs. Heels are flexed. And then we can exhale to release and shake it out a little bit. And you can stay at that boat pose, or we'll include the legs on this next one. Listen to your body. This is a lot of work if you're just starting out. And we haven't done this very often either. So it's something that we're working on and starting to incorporate into the practice. Okay, root those sitting bones to the mat, leaning back, finding that third leg of the tripod with the base of the spine. So the spine is tall, the chest is open. I'm going to lift my arms and then engaging my core completely, really squeezing my glutes, leaning back a little bit farther, lifting the legs. Working on balance, strength. And it's not just physical strength that allows us to hold. This is a lot of mental strength. One more breath and release it. It might feel nice to lean forward, bend the knees a little bit. We'll end today with bridge poses and then a nice final relaxation, mindfulness exercise that'll probably take about 7 minutes to do. So let's lower ourselves to our back. Feels good to me to find that flat spot in my back and press it into the mat a little bit. Releasing some of the tension from the poses today. Bring your knees into your chest for a knee press. Really press those knees in as you exhale, emptying the lungs completely. Inhale, and the next exhale, lift your chin to your knees, squeezing in. And lower your feet flat to the mat. And we'll wrap our fingers, our hands around our ankles. And we'll open a little bit into the front of our thighs to prepare us to go into bridge pose. So if you need to, you can separate your feet a little bit farther so that you can reach them with your ankle. If not, keep your hands as close to the ankle as you can get. And we'll inhale, and on the exhale, we'll dip our right knee to the mat, opening into the right thigh, into that quad, and gaze over the right shoulder. So we're lowering this right knee, gazing over the right shoulder, finding softness in the muscles in our face, and inhale to release. Same thing, left side, dip the left knee to the mat, gaze over the left shoulder, pressing the left knee down, finding a soft breath here. And the right knee lowers, gaze over the right shoulder. Should be able to come into this a little bit farther each round that we go through. A lot of tension is held in the front of our thighs, left knee, left shoulder. But it doesn't take much to open it up. It takes a lot of mental work to release into the quads. Right knee, right shoulder. Really press that knee down. Left knee, left shoulder. And we'll do one more right knee, right shoulder, one more left knee, left shoulder. Inhale, exhale, right knee, right shoulder. And left knee, left shoulder. Okay, bring our feet closer together. Putting our fingertips to the back of our heels. We're going to lift our hips as high as we can get them. And I think we've got time to just like getting height in our hips. So our palms are to the mat, fingertips to our heels. Inhale, lift the hips up. And if you'd like to, you can roll from side to side a little bit and squeeze your shoulder blades closer together. And lift those hips a little bit higher. So your glutes are squeezing, tucking your navel to the spine while you're lifting the hips. Your face should be soft. Now see if you can lift your hips 1 inch higher and squeeze it as tight as you can get it. And let's really be slow and methodical in lowering our hips back to the mat. If you feel like you need to, you can bring your knees back to your chest, release some of that tension. And our feet come back to the mat, fingertips to heels. This time we'll work on pressing our feet to the mat and pressing our palms to the mat. So keep your fingertips to the heels. Inhale, lifting the hips as high as we can get it. You can roll your shoulders a little bit closer together if that helps you. Lift the hips another inch. See if you can lift them one more inch. Now press down on the mat with your palms, your fingertips, your fingers, your entire hand pressing into the mat. You should feel some real strengthening in your arms. And then press your feet into the mat. The heel, the foot, the toes pressing into the mat. Now try and get an inch higher. Real dynamic pose here, engaging the entire backside of your body. And we'll begin to lower out of it nice and slowly, nice and slowly. Relaxing, releasing. We'll come up into our bridge pose one more time. And this time you can choose to either work on height, you can work on pressing your hands and your feet to the mat, or I'm going to create a saddle with my hands and a little stand for my hips, and just let my hips rest in it, and then release into the pose, letting my hands support my hips. And I'll explain a little bit more as we go up into it. So you can put your fingertips to your heels. On the next inhale, lift your hips. Now squeeze those elbows in underneath the hips, lifting the hips a little bit higher. So the weight of your hips is now on your palms and your elbows. And then you can let your hips drop onto your hands, feeling how that kind of releases deep into the hips and into the pelvis, into the spine. Being completely supported by your hands and your arms here. Relax the muscles in your face. One more breath. Lift your hips a little bit higher. And then let's see how long we can take to lower our hips with our glutes closed together, navel tucked to the spine, really engaging the core here. Let's slide those shoulders out a little bit. Tuck the navel in, squeeze the stomach muscles, squeeze the glutes. And then we're ready for our final relaxation, which is your reward for getting through this class. It's been a lot of work. I hope you feel pretty good about yourself and mostly grateful for your body and for what it helps you to accomplish. Okay, we'll find our corpse pose, which is just lying on our back. Our feet can fall out to the side, our palms facing the ceiling. We've got some space in between our body and our arms so that we can get air up into our armpits. And with each breath, allow your body to become heavy, completely relaxed. Imagine the skin draping over the structures of your body. And pay real close attention to energy. You can feel what it's doing. And notice the difference in energy in your body now, as opposed to the energy that you brought to class today. And hopefully you'll be able to see some good progress there. Okay, continuing to lie in Shavasana. I'll work you through a real nice mindfulness exercise. And I really like this one, and mostly because it is something that I have needed. Caught myself being real critical of people and less patient with differences. And this meditation kind of checks me on that and puts me back into a state of understanding another person. Pema Chodron talks about how we can have sympathy for others, and when we're in situations where we're feeling stressed or we're angry at the behavior of somebody else, it's important for us to keep the phrase in our mind, as do I. And so what that looks like for me, if I'm driving down the road and somebody cuts me off, and I can say, that person is really getting on my nerves, or that person is really making me mad, or that person is being so impatient. And I just have to remember that same as me, as do I. That person is being impatient, as do I. That person is angry, as am I. So this meditation is a tender heart for others. Continuing to settle into your Shavasana, find the pose that's speaking to you, the most comfort you can find in your body, aiming for complete stillness, calm, peacefulness, making any last final adjustments. And begin to bring loving kindness to your mind and your body. Kindness and patience in the growth that you're making. And without straining, allow yourself to gently settle into present time awareness. Now bring to mind somebody or something with which you find difficulty. It may be somebody or a situation that pushes your buttons or makes you frustrated for some particular reason. And if it's a person, reflect on that person. If it's a group, reflect on that group. And begin to reflect on the fact that that is a person just like you, who is subject to emotional experiences of joy, love, sorrow, grief, just like you. Start by picturing that person, that group, that situation in a positive light. And offer the gift of phrases of kindness to that person, that situation, that group. May you be happy. May your happiness continue. And may I be happy for you. Each exhale, repeat the phrase, may you be happy. May your happiness continue. And may I be happy for you. Now imagine this person or this group experiencing pain or sorrow. sadness or grief. And notice the response in your mind and body as you begin to do so. And begin offering a few phrases of compassion for these difficulties. And it's okay if you don't feel them. Begin to speak them and allow your mind to embrace them. May you be free from suffering. I see your pain. I care about your pain. May you be free from suffering. I see your pain. I care about your pain. And allowing compassion for others also requires us to allow compassion for ourselves. Offering yourself compassion, love, grace. Repeat the phrases. May I be free from suffering. May I see my pain clearly. And may I respond with compassion. May I be free from suffering. May I see my pain clearly. May I respond with compassion. And with the next few breaths, consider an intention for how you can bring this practice to life in your day-to-day dealings. Bringing compassion to others, and most importantly, compassion to yourself. And when you're ready, begin to bring movements back into your fingers and toes. Your wrists and your ankles, your arms and your legs. Inhaling deeply, exhaling with renewed energy, renewed motivation, renewed compassion. And when you're ready, return to a comfortable seated cross-legged position. With your hands together at heart center, I offer gratitude for joining me today. And my wish for you today is grace. Allow grace for yourself as you allow grace for others. Namaste. Thank you for joining me today. It was a good class. I feel like it was a lot for me, so I hope you will come in there with me. We'll plan on being back here on Thursday, and if you have any particulars that you'd like to work on, always just send me a message and we can add something to a class for you. So enjoy your day. Thanks for joining.